Thank you so much, and thank you, Rahul, as well, for a great presentation. Loved it. And this is, in a way, this conversation is about the other side of being able to transition a company or to take it into new directions. The topic is why most CEO work is actually a distraction and what to do about that. And this is my belief that most of the time that we spend on CEOing is largely a waste. And we'll cover that, why that happens, what we can do about it, and how we can actually spend our time on higher leverage activities. Briefly about Kognity. We are at $25 million of ARR, B2B SaaS. We sell to schools. We build SaaS native textbooks that replace printed textbooks for more effective learning at schools for students. We serve school customers in about 140 countries. US biggest markets, China second. And looking back in the rearview mirror, the first 10 years of Kognity, we just celebrated 10 years. I was thinking about how much time have I actually spent on Kognity. And say if you assume 50 hours per week, 50 weeks per year, that gives about 25,000 hours. So quite a number of hours. And then I asked myself the question, what have I done during these 10 years that have actually had a meaningful impact on company trajectory? And if I am to boil that down, it's actually a quite small amount of things. And when I look at my calendar and I ask myself, does what I spend time on actually matter? Does it actually move the needle? Most of the time, the answer is no. So my conclusion then is that out of these 25,000 hours, maybe a couple of hundred or at most a couple of thousand have truly mattered. And most of it has been noise and largely a waste of time. And now, of course, I try to understand what do I do that is a waste of time and what is not a waste of time, and where can I actually have more impact with my work. So that's the topic of today's conversation. And I think about it in terms of this. So if you are the CEO, you are this beautiful sailboat out on the beautiful ocean of possibilities and opportunities that you want to navigate. You want to navigate towards this beautiful treasure island here that consists of your company objectives, where you are trying to get to. But if you take the default path, the straight path there, if you don't really steer your ship, you will end up in this operational vortex. You want to navigate around it and spend your time on high leverage activities that actually moves you and the company forward towards your objectives. But in reality, what most often ends up happening is that you get stuck in this whirlpool and you get sucked down, you get your nose under the water, and it's really hard to make the kinds of transformations that Rahul was just talking about. And this operational whirlwind, this type of reactive work consists of stuff that you all probably recognize. It's stuff like, status meetings, board deck iterations, cross-functional alignment, unhappy employees, one-on-ones, Slacks, emails, just a filled calendar of reactive work, stuff that's dictated by other things than actual business needs. And obviously, if you are in a whirlpool, it's difficult to move anywhere at all. So it's not a great position to end up in. Given that this is not a good place to end up in, and it's not really a productive space to be in, why do we get sucked down into this vortex? Well, I think there are two main reasons. One is you, and the other one is also you, but through the organization that you built. And looking at these one by one. Number one, you thinking operations is productive. Operations is very seductive because it's typically highly visible. It screams at you. You have new emails coming in. You have new meeting invites. You get sent docs to look through, new policies, the new forecast, stuff that you have to attend to. It often comes with a tight deadline, so you have to address it somehow. And it also gives you some amount of satisfaction. It's nicer to have an empty inbox than a full inbox. It's nice to not have 50 unanswered Slacks. It's nice to check things off the checklist. But does it actually move the company forward? Sometimes, maybe, sometimes not. This is the classic Eisenhower matrix, that it's the urgent stuff that gets prioritized, not always the important things. And the important things that do get prioritized are typically the ones that are also urgent. But that's only a small subset of the really important stuff. The other thing is your organization. If you continuously put out fires and play whack-a-mole in your organization is likely broken somehow. It's a weak organization. And it might be because of how you've designed it. So it can be broken in a couple of different ways. It might be the organizational design, how you have divided accountability and responsibility for all the things that need to happen in a company. It might be that you have a good structure, but you filled it with the wrong people. So quite often, if you have to spend a disproportionate amount of your time on any one area of your business, it's because you have weak leaders there and they need to be replaced. I no longer believe that you can coach someone from non-performance to performance. I think that's one of the big time wastes. Maybe, I don't know if it's controversial, but that's what my experience at least tells me, or I'm just a poor coach, who knows. But it might be also that you have a good structure and you have great leaders, but you haven't clarified what is your role and what is not. You don't have escalation design put out in the right way, again, pulling you down into the vortex. So how do you get out of it? How do you get out of these traps? So I think there's 3 main actions that you can take as a CEO or as an executive. The first one is to really see the value of proactive work, realizing that that's where you tend to create the most value in terms of bringing your company or your function forward to a desired future state. And once you value it and treasure it, you may even want to measure it, and you carve out time for it, that's a good first step. But typically it's not enough to carve out time on your calendar. You also have to redraw your role. You have to be very explicit about what you are supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, and ideally document this in succinct and clear ways and share it with your leadership team. If they understand what your role is and what your role is not, that will help them to adapt. And you can also set expectations for them. You can ask them, what do you need to do differently? What do we need to do differently in our relationship in order to make this happen? And then finally, once you do treasure it, you carve out time for it, and you've communicated what your role should be about, you also need to build the organization that allows for this to happen. And that means the right organization structure and the right people in it. Right, so hopefully with these things you can avoid the vortex, sail around it on the sea of beautiful opportunities, get to your company objectives. And what do you actually do when you do this sailing? How do you move forward? What does matter? When I think about these 25,000 hours, where did I spend time that truly mattered? And I think this is going to be different for different individuals, different companies, and also what your unique strengths are. So if you're a technical founder, it might be relevant for you to spend more time on technical architecture. If you do enterprise sales, it might be valuable to close a few really big mega deals and so on. But for me, looking back, the things that really mattered were first and foremost, probably number 1, hiring and offboarding. Realizing what organization you need and what individuals and profiles you need for that structure. And I spend a lot of time on hiring. I try to spend a lot of time on hiring, not only in the executive team, but for all functional leaders and key individuals at Kognity. Not just by doing a final interview, but understanding what needs do we have for this role, how do we define the role, how do we attract the right people for it, how do we select, how do we build a strong selection process, and so on. And then also offboarding. And offboarding people is one of those things that's tricky if you're swamped. It's tricky both psychologically to do, to remove someone when you're already swamped. And it's also tricky to just carve out energy and time for. But again, making sure that if someone is not performing at a high level, that you transition them out. Then it's also a few key strategic choices have really mattered. But this is not 20 per year. This is maybe 5 in total across 10 years. So it's less than 1 per year. But the high impact strategic shifts that we've done have truly mattered a lot. And in order to make those decisions with high quality, you need to spend time, you need to be very purposeful about what context you need in order to make certain decisions well, and you need to carve out time to think creatively about your option space as a business, about where you could go, especially with all the changes in the tech landscape and general tooling that we can employ as entrepreneurs and CEOs and executive teams. And then finally, building urgency. Once you have the direction and you have the team, you need to build urgency. But again, this might be different for you. Right. So what is the outcome? If you manage to do this, if you manage to spend more time on high leverage activities, what happens? Well, for one thing, it's a lot more fun to do. I'm sure that you all recognize this, that when you actually are able to carve out time to be creative and to think about where should we take the business and why, and not just superficially, but in a profound way, that's a lot of fun because you see so many opportunities opening up, and when you can pursue that direction. But also navigating around this, it's not only more fun for you, it's also more impactful for your business. I do believe that higher CEO effectiveness translates to higher company performance. And it will take you to your objectives, and you will get to the treasure island and get the chest of gold, and ultimately get more growth and more profit and more fun. Those are 3 pretty good things. Who doesn't like fun and growth and profit? It's fun to have fun and fun to have profit and growth. Okay, so yeah, that's the main content. Just want to finish off with a couple of conclusions. Number 1, that there is a lot of work that is super important in the business that you as a CEO should not be doing. Operations is, of course, make or break, but you should design an organization to do that at high quality. You should not do it. Number 2 is that there's this old paradigm about CEOs being everywhere in the organization and being involved in everything. But if that's the case, I don't think you are actually a great CEO. I know whenever I am spread too thin that I'm not a great CEO. I don't create the kind of impact or the kind of results that I want to create. And the great CEO is increasingly my belief that the great CEOs manage to focus on very few things, but the things that truly matter. And finally, if the CEO is everywhere, the system is weak somewhere, and you need to fix whatever is weak about the system. These are my thoughts after having thought a lot about these topics during the past probably 3 to 5 years, and I am in no means great at this. I wish I was better. I'm still working on it. So if you want to discuss, if you have any ideas or perspectives to share, grab me in the break or feel free to connect on LinkedIn. And thank you so much for giving me your time.
You good to stay up for a second?
Sure.
Can I fire? Well, guys, we have time for questions. Can I fire some rapid fire stuff at you to give context?
Ahead.
Okay, team size today, since it's all about org.
130.
130 people. What is the most senior title of a person you fired in the past 2 years?
I've let go of multiple C-level people in the last 2 years.
C-level, okay. And profits are a lot of fun. Are you comfortable sharing profit margin?
Yeah, sure. We're doing 25 top line and maybe 2 to 3 bottom line right now.
So good, so good. Okay, what questions for Hugo? Raise your hand high. Okay, yell it out. Orange shirt back here.
Yeah, so the question is, with all this crap that flows up to the CEO's table, what I do with that bucket of crap? Well, I think that's what you do. Like, I think you have to ignore a lot of the bucket stuff because it's just repetitive crap. It's like recurring revenues are great, recurring crap is not great. And it's going to be recurring unless you fix the core issues. So I'm happy to ignore some of the fires for a while to instead fix what's foundationally wrong about the organization, whether it's structure or team. But of course, yeah, it will lead to high workload. If you don't have the right org or team, it will lead to a very high workload for you as a CEO, for sure.
One more question. Any good questions? Go ahead. Yep.
Hugo, when an important leader leaves or you fire the person, what do you do with the operational stuff? Do you go in and take care of that yourself, or do you just let it float?
Well, that's on a case-by-case basis. If a leader with a wide responsibility leaves and there's no immediate internal replacement or similar, then it's typically, well, the thing is also that if the leader is ineffective, a lot of the time they haven't actually created that much value, is what I find. Of course, sometimes you just need someone to lead a team and so on, but sometimes it doesn't lead to more work even if you remove someone whose role is not well designed or if the organization is not well structured around him or her and so on. But yeah, sometimes you have to step in for a short while, but typically I try to not do that and typically see if I can find interim solutions, whether internal or external. But it's a case-by-case basis.
Guys, again, give it up for Hugo.
Thank you.